5:12 right now. Welcome back. We continue to follow the death of Pope Francis this morning. We've just learned from the Vatican that his funeral will be on Saturday. Joining us now is Reverend Patrick Flanagan, an associate professor in the Department of Theology and Religious Studies at St. John's University. Good morning.
Good morning to you also.
Public viewing in Rome begins tomorrow ahead of his funeral this weekend. Can you talk a little bit about how these next few days will go?
I'd be happy to. So one of the realities is that this weekend was supposed to be originally scheduled the canonization of one of the younger saints of our Catholic Church, Carlos Acutis. And the reality is that it's not going to take place because the Pope has to be present when a saint is is canonized. And the reality is that Rome will be full already with these pilgrims who are coming from the canonization, and now they're going to be coming for the funeral of Pope Francis. So I'm sure that many of these tour companies, many of these folks that come from out the world that were intending to come to the canonization are now going to be able to walk with Pope Francis in his final moments.
And we understand that Pope Francis made some changes. He did not want as elaborate a funeral as his predecessors.
As simple as a man is, he made it very clear that he did not want the elaboration that was given to any heads of state, even though he is himself a head of state. So one of the things you'll recognize if you've already looked at the media today is that he's not going to be displayed in a catafalque as his predecessors have been. So he's in a very simple coffin, not one of that is made with 3 metals, but just 1 metal. And it's just going to be laid out. And by the time of the funeral, it will not be carried in procession open, but it'll be carried closed. And also for the burial, he'll be buried over at St. Mary Major, as opposed to be burying at the Vatican itself.
And what are we hearing about possible successors? I know there's been so much talk about the leading candidates as for the next pontiff. What do we know?
So you know as much as I do. I mean, the social media as well as live media is filled with all sorts of options and all sorts of ruminations as to who the next pope is. One of the great things about these days, as the cardinals gather for conversations and then for more formal, which call it deliberations, is they're going to have to deal with the question that was raised almost over 50 years ago. What are the joys and hopes, the anxieties, the fears of the people of God as they face the future? So when we think about the Roman Catholic Church, we think about sometimes about the internal struggles that are a part of it: credibility, vocations, the role of women, financial responsibility, transparency, liturgy, and that there's a bit of polarization within the church itself. Externally, we recognize that there's secularism, there's moral and social issues, there's globalization, technology. Here at St. John's University, I find myself confronted more and more with the reality of artificial intelligence. What does that look like for the church? So these folks, these cardinals are going to have to sit there and deliberate these issues, and then look around that Sistine Chapel and say to themselves, who can we choose to deal with all these issues and serve us as the next vicar of Christ?
Reverend Patrick Flanagan, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us this morning. We greatly appreciate it. And our Tony Aiello just landed in Rome. You can look for his reports as we follow the burial of Pope Francis.